So I have been in Alaska for almost 60 days. This video is going up on Thursday, so Friday will be 60 days that I have been in Alaska. So I wanted to do kind of like a 2-month update, talking about all the things that I've seen so far, some of my favorite places that I've been, how this trip has been different from every other trip I've ever taken. If the lighting is weird, it's because it is very rainy here in Anchorage today. It has been raining since the middle of the night last night. I know that because my window was open last night and it got cold and rainy in the middle of the night. And I love weather like this. I do really miss thunderstorms. I was born in Missouri. I miss a Missouri thunderstorm. My mom was texting us pictures of a storm in Florida this morning, and so that's something that I'm missing, is the thunder. There's rain here, but there's no thunder here. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I've written it down, typed it up in a Word document because I'm a nerd. I don't want to forget anything, but some of my favorite places that I've been to since I've been here, and I'm not talking about food places, I'm talking about like places that I've actually visited here in Alaska. I have not been south of the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center, and the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center is one of my favorite places that I have been here in Alaska because it's out in one of the most beautiful settings. It's at the end of Turnagain Arm and it's surrounded by mountains and it's really close to glaciers and it's right on the water, but there's so many animals there. I've been there 3 times and I'm never bored. When I go, there's always like new baby animals. Like the last time we were there, we saw a baby buffalo. So that's one of the things that I really have enjoyed, is going there. Adam and Sherri have a membership, and so, you know, they can go and it's not a big deal, and it's really not a far drive from where we are. I have not been farther south than that. We did make a drive into Whittier, which, if you don't know, is a really cool, interesting place because it is a 1-lane road through a mountain to get into this town, unless you get there by water, which apparently Princess Cruises will sometimes dock there, not this summer, but sometimes you'll drive through this mountain and come out and there's an enormous Princess cruise ship there. You can get there through this 1-lane road, through a mountain, which is in one of my last vlogs, or by air or by water, which is really cool. But the road is so unique because they have built in these little like safe rooms just in case there's a rock slide or the mountain collapses and you're stuck in there, which is weird. Like, why? It's terrible that they have to plan for that, but it's so unique. I've never experienced that before. We did take an RV trip north last month. So we left Anchorage and we went north. We ate in Talkeetna. I loved Talkeetna. It just had a really cute small town feel, and it was like there was one main drag in this town and everybody had a dog. It was really a nice, very calm place. It felt very isolated from the rest of the world. It felt very protected from all the horrible things that are happening in society right now, which is nice to escape from sometimes. I hate to live in that place and dwell on those things, and so it was really nice to get out of that headspace and go there, and I really want to go back. Apparently there is a food truck that makes spinach bread, and everybody talks about this spinach bread place. And when we were there on that day, the truck was not there. The truck was there the day before, and the truck was back the day after, but it was not there on the one day we were there. So we will have to go back to Talkeetna for this spinach bread that is so famous. And then from Talkeetna, we went on to Denali, and we continued on to Fairbanks and North Pole, and then we continued back on the Richardson Highway to complete the loop coming back to Anchorage. So I got to see some of the more northern parts of Alaska, but I haven't seen any of the southern parts of Alaska yet. We are leaving on Friday to go on our second RV trip, and we're going to Homer this time, which is south of Anchorage. It's on the Kenai Peninsula. I'm really excited about this because I haven't been there before. Some of my other favorite places are not actually, like, I can't tell you what they, I mean I could. Let's see, Byron Glacier. I just love all of the hikes that Adam has taken me on, I find peace in nature. I really enjoy being outside, away from other people, and that's where I find my peace. That's where and how I relax. So I'm not picky about the places that he takes me. He's like, do you want to go on a hike? And I say yes, and he picks the place and we go, and I haven't been disappointed yet. It's been wonderful. Moving on to some of my favorite places to eat, because one of my favorite things to do when I travel is to try new foods or try the local version of a food that I already know. I like to try foods in different places. Eating is important to me, and so I like to try foods when I travel. I've talked about Moose's Tooth like, I don't know, 10,000 times. Moose's Tooth is a pizza restaurant and brewery here in Anchorage, and I love their pizza. It's so good, and they have so many different flavors, and they will do half and half pizzas on any size. So if you want 2 different kinds of pizza, you can do half and half, and then you're not getting 2 big pizzas. It's just magnificent. In one of my recent vlogs, I showed you guys the 49th State Brewing Company, and they had some of, like, I think maybe the biggest selection of regional foods on one menu that I've ever seen. It was fantastic. They had elk and yak and bison and crab and reindeer. It was a very eclectic menu, and none of the food was bad. Everything that we had was prepared excellently. It was fresh, and it was wonderful food, and the atmosphere was great because we got to eat outside, especially during right now. It's really nice to be able to eat outside. So I had such a good time at that place, and that's probably why it's one of my favorite places that I've eaten so far. The sushi here is fantastic. If you like sushi, I haven't had bad sushi here a single time. We've been trying different sushi restaurants to find out what our favorite sushi restaurant is. There's one really close to the house here that we've had a couple of times, but we've also been out to sushi a couple of times to try different sushi restaurants, and it's all been good. There are also some really weird restaurants here, and I hate to say that because it sounds almost offensive. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it in the best of ways. Adam and Sherri took me to a place several weeks ago now called West Berlin that serves German food, and I haven't been to a German restaurant in a very long time, and this food was so good. Sort of like German street food. It was great though. I think it was just last week they took me to a place called Seoul Casa, like Seoul, Korea, and casa is in house in Spanish. So it is a Korean Mexican fusion restaurant that serves Korean tacos. And these tacos were so good, and you can order one of whatever flavor. They also have a trio of, 3 different flavors. But it was really great. It was so good and weird, but very good food. And so this is why I like to try different foods when I travel. I want to go back there, but I also want to try some of the other places that I haven't been yet. So those are some of my favorite places that I have eaten here in Anchorage so far. And this trip is different than any other trip I've ever been on. I have traveled a lot in my lifetime. I started traveling when I was like 3 months old, I think, was my first flight, and I don't think I've ever stopped since then. So I've been on several Disney cruises in my life. I have been to Disney World several times, but other than that, I have done road trips where I've traveled, like I drove to Dallas for, like a week, and I've done road trips where we drove to the Grand Canyon, or we drove to Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse. We flew to Boise, Idaho, and picked up a car and drove it home. Lots and lots of cool trips. I traveled to Europe twice in middle school with a group called People to People. And the first trip I was there for 2 weeks, and the second trip I was there for 3 weeks. I have done a lot of things and been a lot of places, but I have never traveled like this before. I'm not here for a week, I'm here for several months. I've really enjoyed having so much more time because yes, I've been able to see a whole lot more, but I've also been able to live like an Alaskan for a summer. I've been able to do some of the normal things like going to the grocery store or making a Target run, you know, and of course being here for a longer period of time and doing the RV trip last month and the RV trip this month, and then who knows what's going to happen next month. I'm just so grateful to be able to see so much of the state in the time that I'm given here, because Alaska seems and feels so out of reach for so many people, and I live in Florida, and so this is the opposite side of the United States. It's so far from home, but I've been able to see and do so much while I'm here as a tourist, but also as almost like a Alaskan resident touring Alaska. I've really enjoyed experiencing this lifestyle, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I've also really enjoyed making friends here. I feel like, and it's not just Adam and Sherri, or even Cam and Laura who came to visit last week, but I have really enjoyed meeting Adam and Sherri's friends up here and making friends with them. And I hope that I'm able to keep those friendships, and I hope that those friendships will endure after I go home. And I feel like being here and having some common ground with these people and experiencing things with them have really deepened this, you know, the strength of those relationships. So I've really had a good time meeting people up here and spending time with them and learning about them. I've also had a really good time sharing things with Adam and Sherri. So we've almost had a trade system where I have introduced them to how to make homemade ice cream and some of my favorite movies, and they have done likewise, like some of their favorite recipes to cook and some of their favorite movies or TV shows. Sherri and I have shared books with each other and introduced books to each other, and it's been so wonderful to be able to share things with these people that have become so dear to me, and I've had such a good time with them, and it feels like they're family now. So I'm gonna get corny. They haven't sent me home yet, so I don't know if they're keeping me around for my sake, their sake, or Missy's sake, but I'm grateful to have had 2 months here in Alaska and to have seen and done as much as I have. We did some gardening, and we've done a lot of cooking, and we've done a lot of traveling in the state, and so it's been really precious. So I wanted to just share an update. 2 months, I've been here 2 months. It's crazy, right? But anyway, I think that's where I'm gonna end this video. If you have any questions about visiting Alaska, please leave them in a comment, and if I can't answer them, I will ask Adam or Sherri to help me answer these questions. But thank you so much for watching. You will see me really soon.